G'day, Geoff Lewis here from Seriously Series, and welcome to another adventure in our Back Out Bush series. Here today, it's not just me and the Land Rover, I've got my good mate Jamie here. Thanks for coming along, Jamie.
Thank you, Geoff.
And we're exploring a part of the world that you haven't been to before, I believe.
Absolutely, and I mean, I know it's your backyard, and I know you've done so much in these different remote areas, and I'm just so excited to come along on the journey.
And this is the great thing. For me, this is giving me a renewed enthusiasm and excitement for doing this trip that I've done many times. I can't wait to show you some of the great rust and relics along the way, Jamie.
And look, I am so looking forward to this because there's just so much out here, and look, it's my passion. I love this stuff.
But we better tell them where we're going, Jamie. So we're heading off from Gould in the Gold Fields. We're heading right across the Murchison up to the Gascoyne, and this is all a commute to go and do, dare I say it, a little bit of work. But we're going to take you along with us, and as I said, show you some of the rust and relics along the way. But we better make those miles, Jamie.
Absolutely.
No worries.
Long way to go.
That's it, let's go.
Alrighty.
Covered a fair bit of ground, Jamie, haven't we?
Absolutely.
And we're on the outskirts of Sandstone at the moment, but I wanted to stop off here, and we've been talking about this for a few days off camera, and this is actually old Sandstone Brewery.
Incredible, absolutely incredible it is.
And I know it's the same for you, Jamie, but what astounds me is the ingenuity that they had.
You know, when you say that, I mean, it was quite incredible. Like we've come here, we're in the middle of nowhere. I've just looked up a little bit on it and how they fed the water down inside. And my imagination was they actually took it in through here and did the whole lot inside.
Yeah.
But
we've just found out there's actually a shaft in the middle of it, isn't there?
Yeah.
You know, which is incredible. And summers here can get up to 40, 50 degrees centigrade.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously it's not going to be as cold as pulling a beer out of the fridge.
No.
We've just walked in there now, and it's probably about, 20 degrees?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's at least a 15 degree drop in there,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
So it's amazing the insulating factors.
And like I was saying to Geoff just before, it was quite amazing that when I was in Cooper Pedy,
Yes.
that's why they build underground, because
Yeah.
it's cooler. And you're not going to build a fridge that size, are you? Back in 1907.
No. So it's just, it astounds me, and I know it astounds you, Jamie.
Yeah.
It's just amazing what you can find out there.
Yeah.
And we're just so lucky to be able to, see all this stuff that's not that far. We are remote, but not that far off the beaten track.
No.
No.
But I mean, I know we're not that remote yet, but when you look how vast this countryside is, and flat,
True.
it's quite amazing.
And I can't think of a better place to have a beer.
Oh, how could you say no?
How could you say no? But we can't knock off just yet. We've got many more miles to make, don't we, Jamie? And many more things to find along the way. So once more, we've got to hop in and at the helm of the mighty Perentie and continue on.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Well, it doesn't look that interesting, does it, Jamie?
No.
But this is actually the vermin fence, and I was telling you that it was actually the rabbit-proof fence.
Yep.
But we were discussing that's in a different state. There's quite a few fences here in Australia.
No, I actually was reading on that notice board over there just before. This is still classed as a rabbit-proof fence.
There you go. There you go.
But the sign says vermin.
It does. So it's a bit conflicting. So as Jamie has said, read those plaques. But we're just sort of obviously making our way up to the Gascoyne and just stopping off at a few interesting spots along the way, really to give the poor Perentie a bit of a rest because it's towing that number 5 trailer. But this is just fascinating, Jamie. Like, it's straight as a die.
Yeah.
And as we were looking at on the plaque, this was done in what, 1907? 1907. And this was originally surveyed by Alfred Canning, who many of us know went off to bigger and better things, you could say, and did the Canning stock route. But as I was telling you about too, a fellow, I guess, explorer in Walloona, Peter Murr, his job was actually to go up and down this fence line.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he did it in his old Series 2 Land Rover. Like, what an adventure.
And there's always a story with a Land Rover in it.
Oh,
always.
There is. Certainly here at Seriously Series and the Australian Bushman.
Yeah.
But we also found out before Land Rovers, how did they get up and down the fence, Jamie?
Bicycles and camels.
Bicycles.
They actually set it up so that they would walk the camels up, ride the camels and ride bicycles, and they were supplied to maintain it. And they used to do 70 kilometres over a 6-day period, and that's how they used to do it. And then they built huts along, brought water sources in, so that they could create, so you could drink and live near the fence to keep it maintained.
That's incredible, isn't it? And it just goes to show, guys and girls, you don't need a 4-wheel drive, maybe a bicycle, to get out there and see Australia and more.
True story.
As always, we've got to keep going further up the track, don't we, Joe?
Absolutely, plenty of.
What we're going to find.
Yep, sounds good.
So we had a big day yesterday. We had to make a few miles after the brewery, and we've made our way north of Meekatharra, and we're actually on the Kingsford Smith mail run, Jamie.
Oh, that's right.
And we were chatting about that, weren't we? About the Coffee Royal affair.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different adventure we'll have to do sometime.
Yeah.
But Kingsford Smith ended up being a pioneer aviator, but he actually used to do a mail run up in this part of the world.
Right.
And that provided the funds to buy the aircraft, and I think, if my memory serves me correct, he was the first fella to fly across the Pacific. So that kind of aided his way into that different occupation. But we've camped here at a little outpost called Mount Gould, and Jamie is excited as I am to go down and explore this police station or police outpost that's here. And it's an incredible part of the world because we've got a mountain behind us here, which we'll show you. We've got a wonderful river down here too. We had a Nice relaxing night round the campfire, but we've got more miles to make today, don't we, Jamie?
Yeah, sure do.
Yeah. And how did you find the travel yesterday, Jamie?
It was luxurious.
It was luxurious.
No, it was great. It really was. I really enjoyed it, actually. I really did, because, I mean, I'm not into the mod cons as in travelling in the Outback.
Yeah.
And I love it. Like back when I did the Kimberleys in 2007 or 2008, 9, don't know when it was, I did an old landy, no air conditioning, and it was, we had a ball. And it was just, it brought back so many memories yesterday. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah, and this is something that, we talk about here at Seriously Series, as you probably do too, with your work too, Jamie. With not having aircon and door seals that necessarily work all the time, whether you're driving a true FJ Land Cruiser or a Land Rover, it puts you more in touch with the environment that you're actually driving through. Because when you get out of it, you're wearing it. You've got the dust stuck to you.
You've got it covered. That's for sure.
That's it.
And you see, the younger generation just don't get it, because they've got all this luxury straight up that they go in, they go and buy that car. There's no feeling in that car. There's no listening to the little air gaps and little breezes that come in and getting a wet foot when it rains and, all that sort of stuff.
And there's no conversation starters. We had one yesterday. We were driving out of Meekatharra and Jamie said, I can hear a rattle. Is that the rattle or a radio? And we went silent for a bit. I think that's the radio. That's okay, the HF radio. That's all right, because there's good rattles and bad rattles, as we know. So,
well, I fixed the first rattle.
You did
before we even left town
with the McDonald's coffee cup.
Yeah,
that is the right thickness for you Perentie owners out there, just to slide in between the two panes of glass. And because the actual butt or the bottom of the actual cup itself is slightly thicker, it's progressive. So if the rattle's a bit too much, you just push it in a little bit more. Rattle stopped.
Sorted.
Absolutely.
But it did. I nearly lost it on the corrugation.
Oh, it was touch and go. It was touch and go. But look, we have had a wonderful time, and we're going to go, as I said, down to this police station, have a bit of a look around it, and take you with us too. The objective of today, or where we need to go to start our actual work, is Gascoyne Junction. But we've got another wonderful 326 kilometres until we get there, Jamie. And I haven't been through this part of the world. You haven't either.
Oh,
no.
Right.
So this is virgin
my
country for us.
encyclopedia is not going to be there.
No.
Crikey.
So we'll see what we find down the track. So
sounds good.
Anyway, we've got some eggs in the ash of the fire that we're going to cook up and have on some toast. So we'll have our brekkie, and we'll catch you down at the police station there.
I always find it fascinating finding these places. Like, this is a police station made of mud brick.
Yep.
Back in the 1870s, 1880s. Incredible.
And it's still here today, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful spot. You can see why they put a police station here. We've got a windmill behind the camera.
Yeah.
We've got a creek line that's pretty much full of water nearly all year round.
Right.
So, they were pretty smart.
Yeah.
But I guess the story we need to tell them is, how did this come to be?
Yeah.
Why is there a police station here? And the story's fascinating, Jamie. And we love this stuff.
Yeah.
But Carnarvon is out on the coast, and settlers came to Carnarvon. They slowly moved further and further inland. Now, if you were a squatter, you could come out to this part of the world and you could basically stake your claim or a plot of land, and then you could run sheep or cattle on it.
Yeah.
So they did that, but this was on the very fringe of civilization back in the 1870s. And so there was clashes between the settlers and the local Aborigines or the tribes in the area.
Yeah.
And so a police station was made here basically to administer law and order. And from here, this was the base station, Jamie, where the police patrols, mounted police patrols on camel and horse, went out over the entire region here just to try and sort of keep the civil peace, you could say.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we drove through Meekatharra yesterday, and that's obviously there because of the gold.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
when the gold boom took off, this played an even more important role. So when they were doing a patrol from Meekatharra to Carnarvon, they would actually stop off here for a couple of days, resupply, and then continue on.
Yeah, okay. And the mountain behind is called Mount Gould, Mount Gould or something?
Mount Gould, Mount Gould,
Yep.
depending on what school you went to, obviously, as always. But, you know, just an incredible landscape to be out here. And to think what it would have been like, you know, back in the 1870s, it would have been like landing on the moon for those settlers, or being on Mars even.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like that little grave over there, 1913, you know, and he was 50 to 60 years old and he drowned in there, you know.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. No aircon. No electricity. And even today, it's still quite a remote part of the world too. So.
But it's well, look, honestly, there's not a lot here, but it's got some goodness about it, you know. It's green, it's got water.
Everything you need.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, as we keep saying, we're going to keep making miles.
Yeah.
We're going to keep seeing what's down the track. But Mount Gould, definitely a place worth stopping off and spending a day or two.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we'll have a bit more of a look around, and we'll fire up the landing in a little bit.
Thanks, Geoff.